Hey, welcome back to the channel. Not Too Late Homestead. So we did go down on a 4-hour journey this morning. Reached the property. Started out with a pretty good walkthrough. Went down one property line, was able to find all the markers down to the back side, all the way over to where the property kind of opens up into the big squared portion of the property. Found some good areas to do some clearing, to put in maybe some pasture area, maybe like a little barn or something like that. Found a good spot to put the cottage. Even seen a decent spot to put a camper for temporary living or shed cabin, whatever I decide to do there. Things went pretty well. Looks like maybe a sinkhole in the back corner. Didn't really like the thought of that. Heavily wooded, which is fine. I don't mind doing the clearing. Don't mind the poison ivy and all that. It's going to happen. Going to get it. But as we was coming out, the gentleman that owns the property next door came over. And that's where we can say things just didn't go very smooth. He was very aggressive. Starting out, he more or less come right at me, wanting to know what I was doing on his property. So I explained to him we were trying to follow the markers. We was trying to figure out how we ended up back so far. We weren't really on his property, but I was at the marker between the two properties. And as he was trying to point out where the markers were, got a little bit of a feeling that maybe he had actually moved these markers, because the path that the plot map showed, and the path that he was taking and the trail that he had been using, none of it seemed to match up. So my brother and one of my sons was coming back up the hill the other way, because they had found another marker, so we was trying to get our bearings straight on which is which. And he more or less just kind of started an argument that we were on the next guy's property. So it got pretty hairy there for a second. He just seemed to want to argue about it. And excuse me, Hudson wants up here on the couch now. Right down there, buddy. But so he here, let me go here. Well, he's busy rooting into the couch. I'd introduce you real quick. But he kind of was, like I said, very argumentative. So really kind of ruined the day, per se. My brother was pointing out that we were using the county map. We were using the GPS through the county that had the plot on it. We know there's about a 70-foot variance. So we had measured that out from the very beginning. Like I said, this isn't the first time we'd been on this piece of property. So we knew that the GPS wasn't pinpointing. There was about a 70-foot variance there. So anyway, we proceeded to try to show the guy what we were talking about, and he proceeded to argue with us and tell us we were wrong. Used a few choice words, told us good luck, then proceeded to tell us all the bad things about the property. To me, it come across more of, hey, really, he just didn't want anybody buying it. Because what we did notice was all the deer stands along the property line were right on the property line, shooting towards the property we were looking at. So we was going to impede, if whoever buys that property is going to impede on his hunting seasons, is what's going to happen. And he's probably not going to be happy, because we did see some deer out there today. So I guess the bottom line on that piece of property is it's a no-go. Love the location. Location was amazing. Dead end road, 10 pieces of property back there, broke up, you know, from like a 5-acre lot all the way up to a 40-acre lot. So it's all broke up, but you know, as much as I did like it, I don't want to live next to somebody like that. You know, the whole situation could have been a lot less threatening feeling, I guess. You know, he was very accusive of us being there. We were, you know, doing something wrong, which we weren't. We had permission to be out there. You know, his approach was just not the best. And of course, you know, those that do know me that are following this and maybe do know my brother, we can be very defensive and shoot right back sometimes. So it got diffused pretty quick, though. We'll put it that way. He spouted off a little bit, and then he stormed off through the woods and went back to his place. And you know, he was mouthing something the whole way there. So it is what it is. We moved on. Went and had a nice lunch. Sat down and talked about the property. Got some input from the boys and my brother. And you know, like I said, at this point, that's just not the property for me. So I will be doing some research tonight, and I hope to find something sooner, because the clock's ticking. You know, I've got things to do in the meantime, but you have to understand, to go look at a piece of property is a minimum of a 10-hour day. Gas isn't cheap. We all know that. And I probably don't drive the cheapest vehicle for gas either. Get about, on a good day, about 14.5 miles a gallon. So, you know, you'll have to find me something a little bit cheaper if I'm going to be running up and down the state every weekend until I find something. So, that being said, there's a list of about 6 more properties. I've looked at a couple of those. May have to revisit those and see what the layout is and go from there. There's a couple I have not physically walked, but I have drove past, and there's some that I have just kind of looked at, grid lines and elevation lines and things like that on the maps, just to try to see if it's something I'd be interested in. So that's where we're at. Sorry I've been rambling on here. I know it's not what y'all want to see. I probably won't show footage of property. I guess I can, as long as I get their permission. I really don't, you know, want to put somebody's property out there and talk about it on video without their permission, and discourage anybody else from buying something based off my opinion. So I will probably put out another video tomorrow, though, based on some questions I've been asked. So it's not, I don't want to sit here and talk for 20 minutes on things, but some people have asked me why I want to do this. You know, the reason behind it, why I've never done it before, what took me so long, where have you been? Then another one, a good one I got today was, well, what are you really looking for in the property? Which varies, because like I said before, it's not an off-grid property, so there is some leniency on some of the requirements that maybe I would like to have, or some things I would like to have on there, but aren't necessary. So we'll leave it at that. Yeah. And we'll hit you up tomorrow and kind of give you a breakdown on some of those things. Let you know what the next 2 properties might have on them, the sizes, when we'll get down to them. Do some follow-up, make some phone calls, what have you, to talk about the cottage itself and where it's coming from, and the timeline on that, and how some of this funding, because like I said, I'm not a wealthy person, but how the funding of this is going to happen, and it be a cash only operation. So we'll leave it at that, and I will talk to you all on the next one. Please subscribe and hit that like button, hit the notifications so you know when the next one comes out. Thanks for watching.